Have you ever dreamed of owning a Rolex watch? A watch that is not only a symbol of prestige and quality, but also a piece of history and culture. A watch that has been sold for millions of dollars at auctions, breaking world records. If you are curious about these amazing timepieces, then you are in the right place. In this video, we will introduce you to some of the most iconic and expensive Rolex watches ever made. The video is going to be exciting and valuable, so subscribe to our channel now and hit the bell icon for regular updates. Let's start. Number 10. Rolex Platinum Diamond Pearlmaster. Do you love watches that are elegant and luxurious? If so, you might be interested in the Rolex Platinum Diamond Pearlmaster, one of the most exquisite and expensive Rolex watches ever made. This watch is made of platinum and adorned with 30 carats of diamonds, both brilliant cut and fancy cut. It has a silver dial with silver chronograph subdials and a red GMT hand. It also has a date display and a waterproof oyster case. How much do you think this watch is worth? Well, it has a retail price of $485,350, making it the most expensive watch that Rolex has ever offered to the public. Number 9. James Bond's 1972 Rolex Submariner. Have you ever wondered what kind of watch James Bond wore in his first 4 movies? It was the Rolex Submariner reference 6538, also known as the Big Crown. This watch was made in 1972 and has a stainless steel case and bracelet. It has a black dial with luminous hands and markers, and a rotating bezel that can measure diving time. It also has a large crown that does not have any guards, giving it a distinctive look. Well, it is very rare and sought after by collectors, and can sell for over $100,000. Number 8. Rolex GMT Master 2 Ice. Do you love watches that sparkle and shine? If so, you might be interested in the Rolex GMT Master 2 Ice, one of the most luxurious and expensive Rolex watches ever made. This watch is made of 18K white gold and covered with 30 carats of diamonds, both brilliant cut and fancy cut. It has a silver monochromatic dial with silver chronograph subdials and a red GMT hand. It also has a scratch-resistant sapphire crystal and a waterproof oyster case. It's also a piece of art and culture that reflects the style and taste of the elite. It has a retail price of $485,350, making it the most expensive watch that Rolex has ever offered to the public. Would you like to own this watch someday? Number 7. Jack Nicklaus Rolex Day Date. If you are a fan of golf and watches, you might be interested in the Rolex Day Date that belonged to the legendary golfer Jack Nicklaus. He received this 18-karat gold watch as a gift from Rolex in 1967 and wore it for 50 years until he decided to auction it for charity in 2019. The watch has a black dial with Roman numerals and a champagne dial with Baton markers. It also has a day and date display, which gave the watch its name. The Rolex Day Date is a masterpiece of craftsmanship and design. How much do you think this watch is worth? Well, it was sold for $1.22 million at Phillips Auction in New York, making it one of the most expensive Rolex watches ever sold. Number 6. Eric Clapton's Rolex Oyster Albino Cosmograph Daytona. Are you a fan of music and watches? If so, you might be interested in one of the most rare and expensive Rolex watches ever sold, the Rolex Oyster Albino Cosmograph Daytona that belonged to the legendary guitarist Eric Clapton. This watch is one of only 4 known examples of the reference 6263 with a silver monochromatic dial and silver chronograph subdials. It was made in 1971 and has a stainless steel case and bracelet. It also has a manual winding movement with a chronograph function that can measure time and speed. It was sold for $1.4 million at a Phillips auction in Geneva in 2015 2 carat 2, breaking the previous record by almost $900,000. Number 5. Marlon Brando's Apocalypse Now Rolex GMT Master. What if I told you that there is a Rolex watch that was worn by one of the greatest actors of all time in one of the most iconic movies of all time? A watch that was thought to be lost for decades, but resurfaced in 2019 and sold for nearly $2 million at auction. This is the Rolex GMT Master Reference 1675 that belonged to Marlon Brando. who played Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now. The watch has a matte black dial with a red GMT hand and a sigma symbol, indicating that the hands and indexes are made of solid gold. It is fitted on a black leather strap, similar to the one he wore in the film. It's a piece of history and culture that reflects the legend and style of Marlon Brando. How would you feel if you had this watch on your wrist? Number 4. Anti-Magnetique Reference 4113. Imagine owning a Rolex watch that is so rare and exclusive that only 12 examples are known to exist in the world. A watch that was made in 1942 and has the largest case of any Rolex ever built at 44 millimeters. A watch that has a split seconds chronograph function, which allows you to measure 2 events simultaneously. A watch that was once sold for nearly $2.5 million at auction, setting a world record for a Rolex wristwatch. This is the Rolex Anti-Magnetique Reference 4113, a legendary timepiece that is the ultimate dream of any Rolex collector. Number 3. The Rolex Bao Dai. What if I told you that there is a Rolex watch that was once owned by an emperor and sold for over $5 million? It's the Rolex Bao Dai, a rare and exquisite timepiece that belonged to the last emperor of Vietnam, Bao Dai. The Rolex Reference 6062, a yellow gold watch with a black dial and diamond markers. The Rolex Bao Dai is the only known example of this model with this configuration. It also features a full calendar and a moon phase display, making it one of the most complicated Rolex watches ever produced. Number 2. The 1971 Rolex Daytona Reference 626 Unicorn. If you are a fan of vintage Rolex watches, you might have heard of the 1971 Rolex Daytona Reference 626 Unicorn. It is one of the most rare and expensive Rolex watches ever made. Most of the Daytona models from that era were made of stainless steel, so this one is truly unique. The watch has a stunning black dial with a sigma symbol, which indicates that the hands and indexes are made of solid gold. It also has a chronograph function that can measure time and speed. The watch was sold for a whopping $5.9 million in 2018 at Phillips auction, making it the second most expensive Rolex ever sold after Paul Newman's own Daytona. Number 1. Paul Newman's Rolex Daytona. Do you know what is the most expensive wristwatch ever sold at auction? It is the Rolex Daytona Paul Newman, a rare and iconic timepiece that belonged to the famous actor and racing enthusiast Paul Newman. He received it as a gift from his wife Joanne Woodward in 1968 and wore it for many years. The watch has a distinctive dial with an exotic design, featuring contrasting colors, square markers, and an Art Deco font. It also has a chronograph function that can measure elapsed time and speed. The watch is powered by a manual wind movement and has a 4-digit model number. In 2017, Paul Newman's Rolex Daytona was sold for a staggering $17.8 million, breaking the previous record. That's all for today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.